Aloha, friends. I'm coming to you from my hotel room at the ALA conference in Seattle this week. But I wanted to send you a quick video to tell you a little bit about the learning this week and how I'm approaching the infrastructure standard, which might be a little bit different from how I think people traditionally look at that. Let's be real. I mean, very rarely do we get the opportunity to influence the actual physical design of our space in terms of where the walls are located, or even sometimes where the bookshelves are placed, etc. Infrastructure, we often think about like physical stuff being built. But I want you to think about infrastructure this week as a number of different things, like the collection that you curate, the resources that you hand to students, in particular the technology, your circulation policies and procedures, things that you build that help students access resources and information, not things that are already set and that you didn't have any role in affecting, but stuff that you get to build as the librarian. I want you to think about it that way. And once we sort of set our mind to that being the infrastructure, then I want us to think about ways that we ensure those things are built with equity in mind, so that all learners, regardless of their socioeconomic status, obviously their race or their religion or their gender identity or sexual preference, etc., all those things, that regardless of their abilities or disabilities, beliefs, etc., whatever they come to the table with, that they're able to access all of those resources and materials in the same way, in an equitable way. So we're going to be thinking about those things this week, and how do we build those infrastructures to ensure that. If we can assume, or we can agree, that equitable doesn't necessarily mean equal. Equitable means that every person gets what they need, and maybe in a different way than someone else. Then we have to think about, how are those policies, those procedures, the things that we set up, the way we deliver instruction, how are those things flexible and ever evolving to make sure that all our kids get what they need. That said, I did want to also very quickly remind you that this Tuesday we have a guest speaker, Tuesday at 3:30 Hawaii time. Tavia Clark, who is a digital teaching and learning TOSA here in Washington State, will be doing a guest lecture for us where she'll talk a little bit about her experience with libraries and librarians around this idea of equitable access through infrastructure. And you're not required to attend that meeting live, but if you can, if you're available at 3:30 and can jump in, that's going to be great. It's really going to be an informal conversation where Tavia will share some of her experiences, but really where you get to ask her questions and pick her brain. And she is smart and wonderful, so I know you'll want to talk to her. But if you can't access it live, then you'll get to watch it later, watch the archive later, and then you can reflect on that as part of your reading or part of your work this week. And finally, one last thing I wanted to mention is that so far I haven't seen any Flipgrid responses to week 3's Flipgrid. And there have been plenty that have come in for week 2, but none for week 3. So I think that may have to do with the scheduling of week 3 and how I was a little bit late in getting that stuff posted, or maybe that was week 2. I can't even remember now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine week 3 and 4's Flipgrid into one. So the link for this week's Flipgrid will say week 3 and 4, so that way you can just comment on anything from the last couple of weeks if you want to in that Flipgrid. You can decide for yourself which week's readings you want to reflect on. So we'll combine that into one so we can get caught up. I know you all are busy, and that late posting on my part that one week, I'm sure sort of put a wrench in the gears. So that way we can fix that by just combining the two. All right. Thank you guys so much for your hard work. I'm loving hearing all of your thoughts and reflections on the Flipgrids, and I'm excited to connect you with Tavia this week. I hope you all are having a great week in school, and I want you to know I really, really appreciate your hard work in the course. Thank you. Aloha.